Well, well, well. Look who we have here. Me, Dara Lane. Finally back with a new episode, and although it's been a minute, I hope you'll forgive me as I've been busy working on this upcoming season and even busier lying on my living room area rug, staring expressionless at the ceiling. Yep, everything is just great over here at Laydew headquarters, and I hope all of you are doing well, asterisk, footnote, as well as anyone can be during a relentless global pandemic. Though every day has been bleeding into the next, today I'll disrupt the pattern by presenting you with a new season of the podcast, premiering with a very special episode. She is a producer. She is an actress. You know her from The Big Lebowski, American Pie, and of course, Josie and the Pussycats, as well as a million other TV and film roles. May I present to you my interview with the icon, the legend, the Gorgina, Tara Reid.
Lock the gate!
Tara Reid, thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, it is an honor. How are you doing in quarantine?
I'm doing actually great in quarantine. When we're in quarantine, most people are sitting there, waiting for something to happen. And I decided to do the opposite and create something that will happen. So I started to get into producing, and I'm producing this movie called Masha's Mushroom, which is my baby. It'll be a franchise of 5, and I'm doing it with this the director and also my partner. Her name is White Cross, who I did another movie with, and it's just a really exciting time. So we've been working on that through quarantine, like big time. Trying to find the financing and the actors and this. You don't realize how much really goes into the other side, which has been so interesting to me because I've only been on the acting side. So when I'm shooting a movie, I don't realize how much really goes into the other side, how hard it is to get a movie together. So it's just incredible how much I've learned, and it's really kept me busy. And not just that one, I have like a slate of different other films that I'm working on. So it's been really exciting.
That is exciting. Can you say more about what Masha's Mushroom is about?
Masha's Mushroom it's like a movie you've definitely never seen. It's super trippy. So there's this thing called purple dust. So and it goes in the air. So not like COVID, but COVID could go in there. It's not COVID, but it's purple dust, and it makes you like mushrooms. It makes you start hallucinating, seeing things. Like say you see a picture on the wall, and the picture has fish, on the wall. It's in the ocean. All of a sudden, before you know it, you're swimming with the fish in the ocean. Like it's some crazy stuff. Or you'll be sitting on the couch in the living room, and a purple pony will go through the room. And you're like, what was that? So there's so many trippy things and elements on it, but everyone sees it different. But Masha, who I play, I'm the mother, and basically Masha is on this purple dust, but everyone else is too in a different way. And Masha thinks she's throwing her daughter's birthday. So she's setting up this big birthday party for her. But really, it's her funeral. I mean, it's crazy. That's my interpretation. But everyone has different ones. It's also scary. There's a lot of other under voices behind it. There's also a lot of heart in it because the confusion of it and just the cast and how they're going to get together. But we also really want on it, like the colors. Really bright colors, like bright, beautiful, the way everyone dresses. Like it's just going to be something that you've really never, ever seen before. And it's exciting. And, to do a franchise, and I love franchises, look at American Pie, even look at Sharknado, so to be a part of another franchise, but I'm producing this one from the very, very beginning. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you are, I guess, you're the franchise queen. You got two of the biggest under your belt. Have you ever considered directing or anything like that now that you're getting behind the camera?
I think eventually that will come. But right now, I definitely know how to act with actors, and I know the shots, and I know everything behind it. As an actor, you learn that. But I'm really enjoying being on both sides of the camera right now. So I think that would be, in a few years, but time is of the essence.
Yes. How did you actually get started in acting in the first place? You were pretty young, and you kind of started with commercials and then Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, no, how it really started is I lived in New Jersey. So one day, me, my mom, and my brother were in the Jersey Mall, and we were getting pizza. My mom went to get it for us, and me and my brother sat at the table. But of course, we were being naughty and bad, and we were chasing each other around the table and just acting crazy, like little bad kids, but having fun. Like na 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 na. And then there was happened to be this talent manager that was sitting next to us that was visiting her daughter from New Jersey, and she lived in New York City. And when my mom came up, she's like, and I was 6. She was like, "Oh my God, your daughter, she is like amazing. She's so funny. Like she's great." And she goes, "There's this role that they're looking for. It's based on a Stephen King novel. This guy Larry Cohen's directing it, and they can't find the girl." So she said she has to go and audition. My mom's like, "Well, she doesn't know how to act, so this is something we didn't even think about, you know." She's like, "Please just have her come and audition." So I never read a script before. I didn't do lines. I didn't do anything. And I went in there and did it. And then he called my mom in the room, and he said, "I'd like to offer your daughter the role." So right then and there, I got the movie. And then ever since then, it kind of just, so it's not like we were searching for, I never knew I was even going to be an actor.
Yeah.
It kind of just fell in her lap.
And then you ended up going to the children's professional school in New York, and you had a lot of famous classmates as well. It was Melissa Joan Hart,
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Macaulay Culkin, Donald Faison, Jerry O'Connell, this Christina Ricci. I mean, just a lot of people. It was crazy.
Did you, since you kind of fell into it at a young age, as you got older, did you ever kind of start to consider other careers, like trying other things? Or were you just, once you started doing it, you're like, this is all I want to do?
No, once you start doing it, it's addictive. It was so much fun, and I met so many cool people, and it's such a free life, like back then before social media exists. But it was just fun. I mean, the school in PCS was like the only school that you could go to, and during like a test, say a science test, because it was so small, maybe there's like 20 kids in each grade, we'd all leave. And then we're like, "What's everyone leaving for?" And we're like, "Oh, we all have a commercial audition. So you're allowed to go in the principal's office, literally, and sign out and say you have this audition." And we'd all do the same thing. So we'd take the test, and like 2 people would stay in the room and do the test. We'd find out everything on the test. And the next day we'd do the test, and we'd all nail it.
Was The Big Lebowski what got you to move to Los Angeles, or had you already moved there and just started auditioning?
I moved there for the summer. And then when I moved there and I got all these parts, then I went to my parents and asked them if I could defer college for a year. So it means if you get into the college and defer, you're still accepted. So I said to my parents, if I don't do anything more, then I promise to go back to school. But then everything blew up. So I didn't have to go back to university. And I stayed out in LA, and here I am now talking to you.
What school were you going to go to?
There was a couple, like one was like an acting school. One was, I'll tell you a funny story, but then I was going to go to Ohio State because my brother went to Ohio State. My other brother went to Ohio State. Like, it kind of ran in my family. But then I auditioned for UCLA, right?
Okay.
And they said no. I went for the drama department. They said no, like I wasn't good enough, right? So then years later, it shows you how the world goes in a circle. Years later, after I shot all these movies, UCLA calls my agent, and they want me to sit down and talk to their drama department. And I thought, are you joking me? You guys didn't even accept me, like they didn't realize. And now you want me to talk to the drama department. That shows you what good taste you guys have. It was pretty funny.
I mean, but that must feel good.
It does.
And you didn't have to waste all that money on tuition either.
Yeah, no, it just shows you though how the world goes like 360 in life.
Yeah. Okay, so you moved to LA and you start getting all these roles, and you get a part on Days of Our Lives. What was that day-to-day like?
It's different than like, it's the same thing with the movie, but a soap opera is so quick, like you don't get 2 takes. Like you got it. There's like 4 cameras going, you do it and you move on. But it was a great learning experience. It taught you a lot. So when you started going to film, it, like almost like soap operas was like a learning school. That's why so many famous people come from that, You learn how to be quick and on your toes and what to do. And so that was definitely a great learning experience for me. And it was a great experience. Yeah. But then from there, I went to the Big Lebowski. So like it was
What was that audition experience like?
Well, the audition experience was crazy because I auditioned for it a couple times. And then the last edition, I came up and there was 2 girls in the waiting room, and it was Charlize Theron and Liv Tyler. And I walked up and I was like, "Yeah, right. There's no way I'm gonna get this part." And then, I had my audition and we didn't hear anything for a couple days. So I was like, "Ugh." And then all of a sudden, like 3 days later, they called and they're like, "Tara got the part." And I was like, "Ah." But I didn't realize who the Coen brothers and who everyone was. I still had that innocence in me. So when I was making it, I wasn't nervous. Like I didn't realize how big of a deal of everyone was. And then
Right.
from that made me get like Urban Legend. I got a 3 picture deal at Universal. So then I did American Pie, American Pie 2, Josie and the Pussycats. I kept working with Universal. Did Cruel Intentions, Van Wilder, a million movies. You see, the resume is like forever.
You have the longest IMDb profile. It runs on for miles. I want to jump into Josie and the Pussycats. You've said that it's one of your favorite movies that you've ever done, correct?
Absolutely.
Did you actually have to like learn how to play the drums, all that, or did they just kind of like give you a few lessons?
No, trust me, I had to learn how to play them. And
Oh, cool.
I was so bad at first because I couldn't separate my hands from my feet. And you have to be like, you know. So I was going like dong dong. And the drummer that taught me, he was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be awful." And then all of a sudden one day I was like, I got it. And I was like, yes, it was amazing. But yeah, I did learn the drums. It was an incredible time and so much fun. And Rachel had to learn the guitar.
Oh,
Rosario
wow.
had to learn the bass. So we actually really did play the songs.
Oh, that is so cool. Do you ever, play little drums here and there on your
Not
off
anymore.
time?
I don't really have a drum set in my house. I live in a condo.
I mean, a drum set is not like a guitar where you could just toss it in a closet if you don't want to
It
use it.
doesn't sound like so beautiful. It was like, it's like the mad monster.
And you're also still close with Rachel Lee Cook, right? I feel like I've heard that in an interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys are still buds.
Oh, absolutely. She's one of the kindest girls you'll ever meet in your life. All 3 of us
Yeah.
had like the best time on that movie because it was just 3 girls playing in a rock band. And it was like, I think every actor wants to be a rock star and every rock star wants to be an actor.
Mhm.
So being an actor playing a rock star was just incredible. Like we totally were living it. It was so much fun.
Oh, your performance in that is Lucille Ball level hilarious. So you're so great in that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So American Pie was another movie where most of the cast were people your own age. Did you guys have a blast making that? Did you all become close? What was that experience like?
Yeah, American Pie, because it was a lot of people's first movie. Um, there was a bond between the cast members because everyone was so innocent. And yeah, and we shot in LA, so we would do things like go out to lunch or go to dinner. And I mean, we watched the very first, the premiere, very first one in my house with the whole cast and the directors before anyone, the first screening of it. And everyone's like, I have this huge couch and everyone's laying on the couch and this and that. And then we went to Mexican food afterwards. We all had a blast.
Who were you closest with?
I would say Natasha Lyonne.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would love to see you two out and about having a good time. You guys seem like a fun pair.
When I first met her, she looked at me and she's like, she is. And she's like, look, you look like Barbie. She's like, and we're not going to get along. So like, probably just like stay, like, let's not like try to be friends. And before you knew it, she was living in my house. We were like best friends. So it's a really funny story.
Are you guys still close now?
I mean, we don't talk like every day, but when we
Mhm.
see each other, there's mad love there. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I want to pivot into the nitty gritty of the early 2000s. This podcast is, of course, called Do You Remember This? After Do. We're big into
Nice.
club culture here. So I want to know, what were some of your favorite clubs to go to back in the day?
Lady Do is definitely one of my favorites because it was outside. It was so pretty. You walked in, there was like candles, and you felt like you were like in Europe or something.
Ooh.
So I loved it. What else? There's so many clubs. They change all the time. I think Bar One was one of the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one called The Door. There was another one called, gosh, you're killing me. So long ago. You could remind me and I could say yes and no because there's so many. They change like every day their names.
Did you ever go to LAX?
I went to LAX not that much, but I
Mm-hmm.
was there. But it was not the crowd and the music were a little bit different than what we wanted. So we did go there, but it wasn't really. It was more like you sat on top of the couches. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you had your own booth, sat on top, and no one really talked to each other. So it was kind of more unsocial.
Okay.
But yeah. So, but we did go there like a couple of times, but that would not be my favorite one at all.
What about Hyde?
Hyatt is definitely one of my favorite. My best friend owns it. So we still go to Hyatt, not during quarantine, but Hyatt is yeah, definitely we go there all the time. It was like my best friend owns it. So it was like I owned it. So we could go in and out and do whatever we
It was
wanted.
like having a
Yeah.
clubhouse, like your own personal
Yeah,
place.
it really was. It was perfect. I'd walk in with like 20 people and they'd be like, oh, it's Tara. Meanwhile, the whole like there'd be a line all the way around the block. I mean, you couldn't get in the club. And then I would just cut through like the people, and we cut through and we just roll in and we go right to the owner's table and that was the one that was set up for the most for sure.
Ooh. I feel like I read somewhere that you were an investor in Geisha House. Is that true?
That's true. That's true.
Ooh. How did that come about?
I invested in this other restaurant called Bella
Okay.
and same partners. And unfortunately, they were doing really good at first, but then as restaurants go and as clubs go, they turn around fast. So we
Mm-hmm.
had a good run on them, but then another club opened that was hotter next door. It goes like that. It's definitely sad when you're so excited and you go in there, you're the owner, and it's fun. But yeah, that had to come to an end.
Yeah. So can you describe for me a typical club night? You're getting ready. What are you doing? When are you going? Are you going to dinner first? What would be like a typical night on the town for you?
Especially because one of my friends owns like a lot of the clubs here, not just Hyatt. And at the time I was single and so I would call him up and he'd call me up and be like, what color are you wearing tonight? I'd be like, purple. He'd be like, all right, I'm wearing purple too. And everyone thought we were like brother and sister because we look alike. And we'd go in and we'd rock it, like we'd wear our outfits first. Then we might go to dinner with some friends and then we just roll in, and that was like how we did it. And everyone would be staring at our table, like all the cool kids back then, and we had a great time.
What was your favorite fashion trend of the early 2000s that people don't really do today, but you kind of wish would make a little comeback?
I'm kind of known for this. I think I really started the hip huggers, you know,
Yes.
I
Yes.
really started that. So, and I still wear them, but they're not exactly as low. I'm not showing my stomach. Like I would show my stomach, and I had a diamond, belly chain, like that whole kind of stuff. It was great. I loved it.
So, when I asked my listeners if they had any questions they wanted to ask you, a surprising amount of people wanted to hear about the time you were in the JC Chazé video.
Well, I was really good friends with NSYNC and especially JC is a good friend of mine. And what happened was they actually had a model that was supposed to play that part, and she canceled at the last minute, literally like 12 hours before. So, also the producer of that song is this guy named Dallas Austin, who I've been friends with forever. So Dallas is like, call Tara. We're all friends with Tara. She'll do it. And they come up, they're like, can you be ready in 12 hours? Do this video. And I was like, of course, they're my best friends. So we just did it. And it was so much fun. I think the video was so good. I think it was like, underestimated because it didn't get as much exposure, as it should have. But I love the video. I think it's great.
It's such a great snapshot of the early 2000s. Like your hair is so amazing with the
hair is
faux hawk.
Yeah, and they're orange. And yeah, I loved it. I was like, I try to do that look for the last movie in Sharknado.
Oh, yeah.
With the hair like that. But no one could get that hair right like they did in that. Like that video was amazing.
You did a collaboration with Ed Hardy in like 2009.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that like?
He's great. I mean, unfortunately, he passed away, but That was really fun because we went on tour. I went all over Australia to promote it. I went to Bali to promote it. Like, we just kind of traveled the world on that, and it was just at the time it was the hottest thing. Everyone had the Ed Hardy hats and this and that.
Mhm.
So being like billboards and doing all the promotion, it was really fun. You got to meet a lot of cool people from everywhere. So I had a great time on that.
And you also got to travel around the world for Paradise, your travel show on E. How did that all come about? It was originally called Wild On, right?
So I had a meeting with E, and they were talking about redoing Wild On, and I said, "Well, if we're gonna do it, I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to be the second person on
Yeah.
Wild On." I said, "So, like, think of Paradise. So let's call it
Ooh.
Paradise." And it was through my vision, of where we were going and what we were gonna do and how we were gonna do it, and it was completely different than Wild On.
Yeah.
It was a more personal, like it was a completely different show, and I just love to be able to show the people that never had the chance to, go to Europe, to go to these places. So I made them feel like they were with me, and they got to see all sides of it, and that was my favorite thing in Paradise. Like, I feel like people feel like they were traveling with me. They were my friends with me on that show.
Would you ever consider doing a show like that again?
I mean, I don't know. I don't maybe producing one,
Yeah.
but I think I'm too old for it now. I don't think I can handle what I used to do when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I'm sure all the traveling, running around, I mean, I get tired when I just go on a short
Yeah,
vacation and not have to film things.
yeah, I agree. I agree. So I don't think I could ever hit that level again.
No, no.
You can't do what you did like in your 20s when you're in your 40s. It's just not the same. It's like looking at a high school picture of you and then looking at a picture of you now. You're like, no.
Mm-mm-mm. What was your favorite episode that you ever did for that show?
I would say Sardinia in Italy.
What was that like?
Well, I'm good friends with Roberto Cavalli. I'm good
Okay.
friends with an owner that owns Cipriani's. It's a
Mhm.
restaurant, and they're good friends, and just other designers, Dolce and Gabbana, and everyone was always in Sardinia. All the Italians. So the Ciprianis were like my best friends. They're still like my family members. So they would take me with them, to Sardinia, and I'd meet all these high profile people. So when we went to Sardinia, I knew how to handle the show. That's when we got on every single boat and every single yacht, and met all these people. Because I was kind of like Willie, and the chocolate factory. I was showing you the factory. I was kind of the host saying, "Here, look what we have." So that show, because I knew so many people, and it was so easy to get on places that you can never ever get in or on, like
Mhm.
personally. And that one was really cool. And also, my parents came on that trip, and since then they both passed away.
Oh,
So that was a really special trip for me too.
yeah. Well, you've been all around the world and you've partied all around the world and you've done so much. I mean, I can't imagine how many incredible stories you have locked away in the vault. Have you ever thought about writing a memoir?
Yeah, I have, but I feel like I'm on my second wave right now, and I don't think it's time to do it yet. Because I want people to see the next, the adult Tara, not just the young teenage, like, or young girl that was always like having fun and partying. I've definitely become completely different. I have a lot of businesses now. I'm producing like at least 12 films right now. I'm getting involved in clothing and just different. I'm collaborating with different designers, and so we have a lot of stuff going on. So it's exciting. So I want them to see the transition. So it's not just always talked about that. That would be something, obviously you have to speak about. But I rather talk about the future and now, because everyone knows about those days. It's not a new story for people. It's like it's what's happening now, how the world's changed now. It has, and how are you getting through it, and what did you do to get through it, and how, everyone has different stories about quarantine. I mean, no one knew that we were going to be in lockdown for so long, being stuck in your house for a year. But that's like also for me, I decided you could do two things out of this. You could stay home and be depressed, or you could be creative and collaborate with a lot of people. It was also easier to get in touch with other people,
Yeah,
because no one's
right.
doing anything. So I collaborated with a lot of different people, and there's a lot going on right now, and it's really exciting times for me.
Tara, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but this was so great. Can you tell people where to find you? Instagram, obviously.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram under Tara Reid. You got to see a little checkpoint. Then you can find me on Twitter, same thing, Tara Reid, checkpoint. And I don't really play with too much of other things. I don't really go on Facebook, so I wouldn't do that because I don't really do anything. But I would say stick to Twitter and Instagram. I'm there.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. It was a great time, and you're a living legend. We love you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, my darlings. What a thrill talking to Tara. She was so nice and she was so chill, so go follow her and go watch Josie and the Pussycats. And then come back next week for the first storytelling episode of my series on Playboy and the Girls Next Door. And of course, please rate, review, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and you can follow me on TikTok at Do You Remember This? Okay, see you next week.
That's it, we're done.
Money.